Welcome back to the Kyber Collective. I'm one of your three hosts, Sig, and I'm joined by Flowers.
Hi.
And Annie.
Hello.
And today we are finally doing our reaction to the Kenobi series and episode 6. It's only slightly overdue. It needed to percolate because the Obi-Wan series was a lot to take in. I don't know about you guys, but it was a lot.
Yeah,
for
sure.
What I thought we would do today is first we'll start with episode 6 because we didn't do a recap for that one, and we'll just kind of go over the bits that were good, the bits that were traumatic, the bits that were maybe not good, and then we can do the whole series and some of our thoughts on that. And then I thought we could basically make it into like a top trumps thing. I have different categories that we can like rate this on, and I thought we could rate the show for things like flirtiness and quality of hair and banter, and that might be quite fun.
I love that. That would be excellent.
And then we'll wrap up probably with some thoughts about Andor, because that's the next thing that's coming up. So yeah, episode 6, if we think back to when it aired, I think I've just about recovered. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, I feel like recovery is definitely a good word.
Yeah. It was like the most intense emotional roller. Like, I have not sat that far forward in my seat since the like final season of the Clone Wars. Like,
oh my God.
I think I was like holding on to the couch for dear life at bits of that episode. Like,
it was so much.
It was, especially the Anakin Obi-Wan duel. I don't know if we're just going to jump right in and start there.
We'll just jump.
Might as well.
Yeah. I liked the kind of echo of Rebels with the tearing of the face mask and the kind of reveal of Vader underneath. I like that basically the conclusion as well that we walk away with is that Anakin killed Anakin, or Vader killed Anakin. Yeah. And Obi-Wan's able to kind of put down his grief and his emotions about that and recognize that it was Anakin who made a choice. And I as you know, the whole series being about grief and loss, it kind of makes me think of like almost a weird comparison, but like parents whose children do something really horrible. Like if your kid is a murderer, like it's quite complicated because you love them, they're your kid, and you raise them and you think, God, where did I go wrong? But also they made this horrible choice. And I think it was really nice to see Obi-Wan kind of reconcile with that and realize that it was a choice that Anakin made, and be able to kind of let it go. I don't know how you guys felt watching that.
Yeah, no, I felt that's what happened. He was finally able to let it go because he was blaming himself for his friend's death. I'm not sure that Vader meant to like sort of give him that.
Yeah.
But that's what happened. He was like, I am not your failure, Obi-Wan. And then, I mean, he basically, was like, said, it's okay to move on. I don't know if Vader meant to do that, but like, that's what happened.
It felt like Vader was like, why are you taking all the credit here? I did this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in doing that, Obi-Wan got the closure that he needed, and he could put this down and put down his grief and actually move on.
Yeah. I think it is, I mean, it's quite an Anakin move to be like, don't take credit for this terrible thing that I did. That was me.
I know.
That was very Anakin, yeah.
I love him so much, guys.
Yeah.
Even in his worst, he's just like, Obi-Wan, how dare you? This is my work. Why are you taking credit for my work?
Yeah. Oh, it's really good. I'm wondering how you guys felt about like the moment where he's been like pelted with rocks, and then he thinks about Leia and he thinks about Luke, and then he's able to emerge from the rocks and then pelt the rocks back at Vader. How do we feel about this as a scene?
Yeah, I loved the rocks. He looked very powerful in that moment. So I was definitely digging it. It was very like 11 though,
Yes.
I mean, I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah. It was a really great example of how his his love of people really kind of brought him back, and things that he cares about not only gave him strength, but kind of returned his connection to the Force. Like, that was level 3 evolve for Obi-Wan in that scene where he gets out of the rocks and then pelts the rocks at Vader. And it was a good visual representation of like processing things and finally overcoming something for a better purpose.
Yeah, and he like got his hope back. I feel like he found something to believe in again.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me, or it reminded me of the discussion we had about Return of the Jedi, where Mark Hamill wanted Luke to remember Leia and have that be the thing that kind of brought him back from the edge. And it's kind of, I doubt it's like an intentional kind of call out to that, but it's almost a nice inversion of that, because it's instead it's turning those two twins into this kind of vision of hope. And it's not necessarily, I mean, it's obviously his relationship with them that he's thinking about, but also this idea that there is still hope and that there is this future that is worth kind of getting up for.
Yeah,
it immediately made me think of that conversation that we'd had when I was watching it, and how I think this is probably a more satisfying version of it than we would have got with Luke in that position.
Totally, yeah. I agree. And I like how you said it. It's like an inversion of the scene in Return of the Jedi, because Leia is kind of in that moment, almost, I guess, how if Vader were to describe it, a weakness, and that's how Ben described it, as a weakness, versus in here, it was literally what got him up and reminded him of what he's doing this for.
Yeah, because Leia's the thing that's used that pushes Luke into an emotional reaction that drives him the closest to the dark side that he comes in that fight, or the closest to killing Vader. Whereas here, and again, Obi-Wan, I mean, obviously Obi-Wan is choosing not to kill Vader, because otherwise there'd be no film after this. So we kind of knew how that was going to pan out. But Obi-Wan does choose not to kill him. So it's, again, he's making that choice of like going back to protect, but without it being something that drives him to do harm. It drives him to have purpose, which was really satisfying to watch. It reminded me, rather than like Stranger Things, it mostly reminded me of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I haven't seen those. I'm sorry. I know that's bad, but
it's not bad. There's nothing to apologize for, but it was the visual callback that I was like, look at that, he's earthbending.
It's like a parallel almost of when they're both buried in a rock-like thing, emanating on their strength and what they're doing and why they're doing it. So that's a great point, Sig.
I try. Do we want to talk about Reva and her immunity to stab wounds?
I don't. Defies logic. It's included in my disappointment with how stab wounds don't mean anything anymore.
Unless you're Qui-Gon.
Unless you're Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that bothers. It's like why didn't Qui-Gon survive?
Yeah.
All these other people survived like stab wounds. I don't know.
My bullshit explanation, like, this is my magnet theory for The Last Jedi. My version of that for this is like that Anakin deliberately chose a non-immediately fatal gut wound with the intention that she should suffer before she died, and that's why she could still walk around, is because he just, like, I don't know, got some intestine or something, and she's still kicking, but like it's painful, and she can't digest her food. It's a slow, sad death.
It's very Anakin.
Yeah,
it is very Anakin.
It's either that or his aim is just awful, which I don't think is true of Anakin.
Yeah. Or like saber strength just isn't what it used to be anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I was kind of confused. Did he stab her when she was a kid and she survived that one too?
Yeah, so
he stabbed her in the same place?
Maybe that was the point he was making.
He does not get the job done enough.
No.
I don't know what he's doing.
This is my thing, is like, this is the ultimate problem with Vader, is that he does not like dot his I's and cross his T's. Like,
Star is having a really rough time picking up after him.
This is why he always needs a minion.
Yeah.
I know, because you'll get like forms from like the Empire HR, and it's like, claims department. They'll be like, we only cover this type of wound from Lord Vader. If he's near fatal but not fatal, then we can't compensate you.
Yeah. Well, also, like, as soon as you said that, like, Anakin is not a man who does his taxes, for example.
No. He owes billions to the Empire.
Yeah. What do we think of Reva going after Luke and then choosing not to kill him?
I think it was the logical route. I don't know what she actually thought she'd accomplish doing that, because I don't know, you can tell her heart wasn't in it already from the beginning. She was doing it because she felt like this is what she had to do. I think it was pretty well done in that she had nothing left, you know. She wasn't an Inquisitor. Her plan was thwarted. Vader left her for dead. She was probably going to die soon anyway. And she's like, I have this one thing that I was trying to do, which was avenge like my family. And this is how I think I will avenge them, by taking away the one thing from this person who destroyed everything.
Yeah, but he doesn't even know.
Yeah, he doesn't even know, and that was the thing. She'd had no idea. So I think showing her go pursue that made sense. And then showing her choose not to was a good full circle of her character arc, in that she went from the beginning of the show being somebody who was able to just get what she wanted, cut off hands, kill people, hang them in Tatooine, to reach her goal, to showing mercy to a child who had nothing to do with what was going on. And she made a choice, and I think that was the whole crux of what this episode was. It was choices, and choices that Anakin made, and then choices that Reva made in contrast, and then ultimately what leads to the original trilogy.
Yeah, I like that read. I especially like the theme of choices. I don't hate Reva's arc if I sit and think about it, because I do think symbolically that it works, this kind of parallel between Anakin not sparing the children and her choosing to spare the children at the end, despite a life of suffering and violence. I like the fact that we got to see Beru in action, because I had been missing her throughout the whole show, so it was nice that we got a little bit of her. But I have to say, watching the episode, I thought Reva's portion of the story was just a little bit pointless. And a part of me, I think it's hard because we knew that Luke was going to survive. Like, it was hard to genuinely have a sense of danger there, because we know everyone involved except for Reva is alive. But it just felt like it was detracting from the rest of the story. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. I understand why it's in there. And I think, like, on paper, it's a really good arc. But man, just watching the episode, I was like, can we skip back to the Obi-Wan bits?
she is not my favorite part of the Obi-Wan series. Like at all. Like, there was something not right about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So on that note, because like Leia gets captured multiple times in this show, and we know that's a more vehicle to the plot, because we know nothing's going to happen to her. Why is that different than this?
I think because this is it's at the end, so it's not a springboard for the rest of the plot to continue in the way that Leia's capture was. But also B, that it's facilitating a kind of character growth in Reva, who's a character that I just didn't care enough about to have to be invested in that little piece of character growth at the end. Like, I don't know if I found her choosing to spare Luke. It makes sense. Like I said, on paper, I understand it. We've come full circle, but I just don't, something in the execution doesn't work for me to the point where I think that was a very satisfying thing to have watched.
Yeah. Yeah, when she was like, you know, crying, she was there in the desert, she's like, have I become him? And she really does seem like she's coming back, you know, from the dark side or whatever. It's an emotional moment. And I felt for it in that moment, but like, I didn't feel like I felt for her like a lot, like not as much as I should, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, great. Okay, you know, all right, let's move on. And what's going on with, you know, Alderaan? I just always was ready for her scenes to just be like over, you know?
I do wonder whether she kind of suffered by being the only kind of real new introduction, because everyone else we already had a huge investment in. Like, you know,
I think that is a I think you're I think you're right. Honestly, everybody else we were like so excited about.
Yeah,
I think she needed a little bit more time. Like, I think
but like, where did she go wrong? And then Indira Varma's character went right, because I did care about her. Like when she died, I was like, God damn it! Like I loved her. Like you know,
yeah.
I mean, she was a good guy. So therefore, like you know, and she didn't try to like torture a child.
Yeah.
There's that, but I don't know.
I think the reveal about her past almost maybe came too late for me. Because I think that she was really compelling in the first episode as this kind of really ruthless Inquisitor. But I think the kind of bait and switch with the Grand Inquisitor doesn't really work very well. Or at least it's not paced very well. Like, I think it could have worked better if maybe we'd gotten to the meat of her and her beef with Vader kind of sooner, and worked that in sooner, and then we would have been more invested in her revenge plot, because it's not until very late in the game that we actually understand what is up with her. And
it's true.
For a long time you're like, she's a woman on a mission, but why?
No, we were talking about, we were like, what is the point of her, like in all of the other episodes?
I think she could have used some editing on how they were revealing information with her, and I think that would have benefited greatly with the plot. And I think that she could have done with, like, I don't know, just like more moments on her that you can really understand why she's doing what she's doing.
Yes.
Like, I don't know, because like you mentioned Indira Varma's character, Annie, and it's like, well, we really saw the duality of her character and what she was with the Empire and what she was doing along the side. And I didn't see enough of her past or like her motivation. We just saw this really angry and ruthless person, which was good for the beginning, but it didn't hold up strongly enough by the end.
Yeah, it was a hell of a character introduction. And I really think that it could work really well. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are a lot of people who actually enjoyed it as it is, but for me, it didn't quite land. I think almost the closest thing I have to compare it to is the Savage Opress arc in the Clone Wars, where, like, a lot of bad things happened to him, and, you know, we were clearly supposed to feel a kind of way about him, but I just felt like it never really landed properly, and I just kind of didn't care enough.
Yeah, like, I think he had the same thing where his introduction was really something. Like, I was like, oh my God, this is just awful that this is how this person was completely changed. And but then by the time that he does die, I don't think I had the same emotional payoff they wanted us to have. That, like, oh, he was killed quickly and ruthlessly by Palpatine. I don't know. So it's like, the ending didn't meet, like, it just became very flat as his arc went on. So I think that's kind of the same thing, where you had a strong introduction, but it wasn't quite meeting the landing.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with the character writing in either inherently. Like, I think both of them on paper, really solid concept, but there's something kind of missing in the execution for me.
Yeah, I think maybe we're just used to these characters that are so, like, well written, well casted, like everything together. Like take Maul, for example. Maul in the Clone Wars is amazing. And like the voice actor, forget his name right now, was Sam Witwer, is that what it is?
Yeah.
He's amazing. Like, everything just together just makes this amazing character. I think there was some kind of disconnect with Reva. There was something that wasn't working.
You know what I feel,
as well as the other characters work, you know?
Yeah. You know what I feel, though? I feel like this is, in my perspective, an introduction to Reva, because she survived. She's going to show up somewhere else, I assume. So whatever we get additional to her, I think that might actually be where the compelling things might be for her character and what she ends up doing.
Yeah, that's true, because there's been plenty of other characters introduced in, like, previous content, and then they become amazing.
I mean, I'd be super up for it, because, like, I was really, her introduction in that first episode, I was like, shit, she's cool and scary, and I'm here for it. And like,
she's got a great look, and
she does. And there were moments in there, like, I have no complaints about the actual acting. I don't think. I think I have more of an issue with, like, the pacing, I think. But I would be totally down to see more of her. And I love the concept of like somebody who has a personal vendetta with Vader working quite closely to Vader, and this kind of constant like Vader knows, but how much does he know? And but the problem was that Obi-Wan was playing the same game, and of course we care so much more about Obi-Wan playing that game because of all the context we have of the history of their relationship. Like, it's real sad that Reva got stabbed as a kid, but like, we have 3 whole films of this incredible relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin. I'm much more invested in watching Obi-Wan and Anakin play the who's smarter game.
That was definitely the more compelling arc.
Yeah.
To the point where you just don't really care about much else.
Yeah. I think that's the thing here, is that we were watching this show for the Obi-Wan Vader content, or at least I was.
Yeah.
And like, when we think about like Tala, like she was somebody who added to that plot, whereas I think Reva, there were moments where she worked, but they were the moments where she integrated into that plot line, like when Obi-Wan chose to use her in a way, potentially knowing that she might be sacrificed. I thought was a great moment, but on her own, I think it.
She tended to slow the plot, actually, don't you think? Like, her scenes would kind of
sometimes I think they did drag, and I think episode 6 is the worst for me because I remember wanting to skip them.
To move past,
which I felt kind of bad about, but I was like, I know he lives.
Yeah, I was thinking, because you said about, seeing Reva and Vader's interactions. If they had, again, I feel like this needs more time, because if we had seen Reva, part of her introduction of character would be working in the service of Vader and having to see him more and work with him and like have almost like a psychological battle between the two. Not that he would be battling her, but like having to see her work around that and see how much does he know, how much am I giving away, and see her actually meticulously work up to what she's working up to would have been so much more interesting, I think. But again, it comes back to we need more time for that sort of thing, and it was very strictly a limited series.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, things like Reva's character introduction, character growth is fast-forwarded, and it doesn't land as well as it could.
Yeah. I mean, there is like a kind of David and Goliath thing about it that I find really cool, especially in that, is it episode 5, where she and Vader fight and he just wipes the floor with her. And it's terrifying. And so there is something cool about an antagonist to Vader that has no chance of beating him in combat and has to use other means. But the problem with it is that we all know how Vader dies. So like, she's not going to win.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe she could have incapacitated his like suit somehow.
Yeah. I mean, she could, but like, she's never going to win, right? Like, I think
she'd have to sabotage. She'd have to start sabotaging stuff from behind the scenes. Like his missions.
Yeah, and I think that's why
she'd have to work like that.
Yeah, and now that we're talking about it, this is essentially Thrawn's role, and probably partly why the Thrawn series works is because when Thrawn and Vader are sort of concurrent, he's again playing that kind of double agent. You don't really know how far his allegiance to the Empire goes. He's fucking with Vader, but it's okay that he doesn't win or that Vader doesn't lose permanently by dying, because like the game itself is fun.
Yeah. Because Thrawn's just got some other game going on.
Yeah, at all times. You did just give me an idea, though, of like something they could have done that would have given Reva's character some importance in the show, like even more, is like if they had Vader having a slight specific like suit thing. I don't know, maybe some mechanics, maybe something where, because she's been kind of messing with him and figured something out, that change is what's made, which is what you see Vader after the show, like in Rebels and the original trilogy. I mean, of course, it wouldn't really work because like the prequels had him in the suit. That's pretty definitively the suit. But like, I don't know, something a little bit like that. Like there were consequences to having her around him.
Yeah, I think the inability to have consequences is quite difficult, because the consequences of this are all the emotional consequences to Obi-Wan, which I'm fine with because I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
But I think it's so hard to write in a character like Reva where she sits in the narrative and have it work, because there are so few consequences that we can meaningfully have. Like, she essentially can accomplish nothing unless they write in a separate character for her to kill, and then we wouldn't really care.
Yeah, because it's like what Rebels did. Like, because if Vader was going after the Rebels all the time, it would suck. Like,
yes,
so they had the Inquisitors. They had to make the Inquisitors so that they had.
Well, they do in fact have that problem with Thrawn, I felt, in Rebels, is that Thrawn interacted with them almost too much, and by the time you got to the end, you were like, well, how many times has the greatest general ever lost to this ragtag bunch of losers? Like,
he meant to lose to them. That
was the point.
Yeah, he meant to. He was like, well, they deserved to win.
I know, and it just...
I was just gathering intel the whole time.
I know, because then it doesn't go anywhere.
And then the actual final smackdown, and he's just bested by a load of Purgles. Like, Rebels was a trip, man.
It really was. I was like, oh, Thrawn, they brought in the big guns, because he has his own reputation, and then the guns were like a little water gun.
Yeah. Should we talk about the moment my dreams came true, the apotheosis of all my hopes, when Qui-Gon turned up for like 5 seconds. So I was like turning the show off because it was done, and I was like, this is it, this is the end. There was no Qui-Gon. I'm like gonna turn my TV off because I'm clearly gonna write to Lucasfilm right now and Disney, and I'm like getting out my like computer to write my angry letter, and then up he pops.
It was amazing.
They waited till the very last second.
They
to put him
did.
On.
Yeah, they're like, you thought we wouldn't do it, but we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you lost all faith in us, didn't you?
Well, you know what? I did, and to be honest, I'm kind of unimpressed. Like, I know that there wasn't time, but like, and I'm glad that we got him. I'm not going to complain. No, I am about to complain, but I shouldn't complain about the fact that we got more Qui-Gon. That is a net good. Yeah. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That is all the dialogue we get? That is it?
Yeah, we could have had more.
We don't get a single conversation properly between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn. Like, why did you do this to me? Why was this allowed? Like, it's almost more offensive in some ways.
Yes, I fully agree. I am very grateful that Qui-Gon came back. I'm very grateful that Liam Neeson made an appearance. Oh my god, all my dreams came true. That said,
the man's a liar.
Oh yeah, he is.
He's a huge liar. We called it. But the fact is that it didn't happen, that we didn't see that conversation that a lot of us hoped to see.
Yeah.
You brought him back since The Phantom Menace. That was 22 years ago. Like,
I was fine with it, honestly. Like, I was worried they were just going to use his voice. Like, he was just going to be a disembodied voice.
Yeah, that was another fear, because that's what he should be, a disembodied voice.
Yeah.
I'd have been fine with it if we got more dialogue than the kind of stuff that's on one of those weird Christian picture frames that's about how, like, there was only one set of footprints, but it was because God was carrying you. Like, that was the level of, like, trying quote. He was like, I've always been there. And I'm like, what is this? Hallmark for Christians? Like, I'm not having it.
I was there the whole time. You just weren't ready to see it.
I
mean, that's not nearly as good as, your thoughts create reality.
Yeah.
He had the secret, like 10, 15 years, like, I don't even know when the secret was
Qui-Gon,
but like,
yes.
He was first.
He 100% wrote like 125 Jedi quotes to live your life by. It was like a bestseller. Like, this is Mr. Pivy. This is the Jedi teaching in a single sentence, and that's the best they could I'm offended.
It's true. We deserve better, Qui-Gon. We deserved a better, like, piece of advice, man.
I did not mind the advice. It soothed my soul.
No.
I was like, that's right.
Don't settle for mediocrity.
I'm settling.
Harry Potter, okay? Like, when Who was it? It was Sirius. He was like, we've been here the whole time.
Oh yeah, I didn't like that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
You know.
If you guys could see how heated it has gotten in here. I mean, I was giggling
You
for
don't
the last
understand.
2
Okay.
minutes.
How much the three of us love Qui-Gon Jinn. How much we love him. We have ponchos.
Yes.
Like we own ponchos because we love him so much.
So much.
The Qui-Gon Jinn Appreciation Society is not impressed.
I stand with the Appreciation Society. I agree. I was just, I was wrong. I mean,
it's fine to enjoy it. There, as I said, more Qui-Gon is a net good. I'm very glad that he was actually in it and they didn't leave that particular thread dangling because I actually would have been apoplectic. But like, I was hoping that there would be at least a conversation. Like,
and like it would have been really just the icing on the cake, really, because you get to see Obi-Wan go through this journey, and then you see Qui-Gon at the end. If they had that just a conversation where he's like, "You did good," and better Jedi way to say that. Not just say you did good.
You did good.
He tried. He did well. Yeah. He did well.
I think it's just like my complaint for the series as a whole. Not enough this. Not enough. Okay, not enough Qui-Gon. Not enough Obi-Wan. Not enough Anakin. Not enough. I'm greedy. I'm just a greedy bitch.
We don't get prequels that often, right? So like this is everything that we're hoping for.
Yeah,
exactly. Like I want to see more of all of the things that I love.
Yes.
And speaking of love, I know I'm forcibly changing topics, but like getting to see Hayden Christensen in that suit as Anakin. I thought I died the episode before because we saw a flashback. But getting to see our boy in the actual suit with the piece come off of his mask and him like act that part. I mean, he was creepy as hell. Like, it was just so well done. So well done. I'm so glad that Hayden came back for this. Like, man.
Yeah, I think that scene was great because it really sort of like made you really feel that he's a different person.
Yes.
That like Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker are two different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always thought that it was so like funny and snarky as hell when Obi-Wan would call him Darth in A New Hope. It's like calling somebody like Captain Admiral or whatever by their title, and this really makes sense. But the way they did it, like I thought it was brilliant how he was like, then my friend is gone, see you later, Darth.
I know it was so
the beginning
and then his little Anakin part does come out because he's like very petulantly screaming like, Obi-Wan, come back and fight me.
Yeah,
exactly. It was great because like Anakin or Vader was the one left with the obsession.
Yes,
at that point you could tell Obi-Wan's over it. He's gonna go back to Tatooine and become that Zen master that smoked Maul with one fell swoop. He was over it, and now Vader is the one consumed with this obsession for Obi-Wan.
And what do we do as good Jedi? Let the fuck go.
That's exactly what he did. He let go. It was great.
It was.
Yeah, something that good old Wrinkly mentioned to Vader in the next scene, where he was like, are you a little too attached to this Obi-Wan thing?
Yeah, that was sassy. That was the other surprise cameo that
delightful.
I'm so happy whenever Ian McDermott comes back and he does his little Palpatine voice. I love him so much. I hope someday I run into him so I can make him do my answer phone message. Like, he's just brilliant.
He is. Like, it's so strange. Like, I love that man. I hate Palpatine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But like,
it's such mixed emotions because like he comes on and he goes, hello, and he does his little Palpatine voice, and like I'm flooded with joy, and then I realize what he's saying, and I'm like, you bastard.
I know. He was just, I was so excited to see him. I know we said earlier in our like what to expect like episode for this show, like what we were hoping not to see, and we were like, I don't want to see Palpatine, and I'm like, seeing him, like they did it right. It was just a little bit. It was in a hollow, and it was perfect, delightful.
Yes, it was a perfect little morsel.
This is the correct amount of Palpatine. He's a garnish. Apply gently.
Yeah.
I know, and his lines are so good. He's like, you seem agitated.
He's so funny. I love him so much.
And then Vader's like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm great. You're my master. I don't have any other master.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, what do you expect, Palpatine? You stoked his attachment for years, so like, stop your complaining, bastard.
It's just needling.
Yeah.
Do we want to move on to kind of our thoughts? I know we've already touched on a lot of our thoughts about the series in general. Yeah. Do we have any other kind of overarching thoughts about the Obi-Wan series? And I think we should probably officially state our opinion. Did we like it or not?
Yes, I loved it. I loved it. The things that I didn't really need, we've definitely already discussed at length. Like, Reva as a character wasn't my favorite, but that's about it, really. Yeah. I loved everything else. And my complaint is that I didn't get enough. I'm like, why didn't these have to be 6 episodes long and like 45 minutes at the most? I'm just like, you have these guys here, like, give me all the dialogue, give me all the politics. I don't care, like, just let me. I want more.
We wanted the long embellishments that the prequels gifted us. That's what we wanted. The slow sinking reality of things.
Minutia.
Right.
I want to know, I genuinely, when I ask him how he's doing, I want to know how Obi-Wan is. Like, what's he been up to?
Yeah.
Right, like that first episode where we just basically followed him around. I love that shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, like, give me, like, what his daily life is. That's, I give me anything, Obi-Wan.
I know. Ironically, the fan reaction to that was just like, okay, can we move on? I'm like,
no, they're wrong.
No, we can't. I love this.
Yeah, we missed.
I want to see what's going on.
They cut out so many obvious things that should have been in there. He didn't make a single cup of tea in that montage. Like, I'm sorry, why are you leaving out some of the key pieces of his day? Like,
I know.
Yeah.
Honestly, I 100% love this. 5 out of 5 for me. The things that didn't work did not detract my enjoyment of the show.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like, because it's really minor. Like, that's just me being, like, constructively criticizing it. But, like, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It has great rewatchability. It has great character growth. Obi-Wan's character arc is incredible. Getting to see Vader as this, like a ghost menacing for Obi-Wan was incredible. Leia, it's so fantastic that they picked her. Getting to see a little bit of Luke and Owen and Beru. I don't have any complaints on how much this show enriched my Star Wars experience.
Yeah.
It was definitely an enrichment. Definitely, 100%. Yeah.
Even just the bits of, I guess you would call it fan service, were incredible. Like, they worked with the plot.
Yeah, I don't think there was a single, like, stupid idea that was in there. Like, everything, even the stuff we've talked about that maybe didn't land quite as well, like, all of it, I think, makes sense to be in there. I think it was really well thought through, and I think it was thematically very tight. Like, this series had something to say, and it was pretty consistent the full way through. It had a beautiful arc for Obi-Wan. I love that it was centered around Leia. And, like, there were moments of fan service, but I am so grateful. Like, and this is the thing, is that last arc with Reva, like, I think it might have been one of the weaker parts of the show, but it also gave us, like, a look into Owen and Beru's ferocity and the way they defend Luke and what that family was like, and which is something we've never seen before, and I loved it. We got tiny baby Luke a little bit, which I had missed him because he is precious.
Yeah, it kind of rehabilitated Owen.
Yeah.
I know, like, he's not exactly well liked in in some aspects of the fandom. I've never hated the guy. Like, he was a dick in the comics, but
he's a good dad. It's canon
he's
now.
a good dad.
Yeah, this is solid canon, and he is a great parent.
Yeah.
I agree with you in that it was a really tight thematic story, and that I felt like, in my perspective, there weren't scenes that were wasted. You know, like everything served some purpose somewhere, and that's really good. It just shows you how solid a story this was.
Yeah, it was really thoughtfully put together, and it's interesting that it kind of came on the back of the book of Boba Fett, which was maybe not thoughtfully put together, although had lots of good ideas, but they were ideas that kind of didn't go together. Whereas everything here was clearly serving a single purpose, and they fit together, and it was well put together, and clearly every aspect of it had been really thought through. I love to see it. Like, honestly, I think it's one of the better shows that they put out. Like, it was just solid from start to finish. And that's not just because I'm a prequels nerd. Like, I think.
Yeah, and I think it has rewatchability, and then also I can't wait to rewatch it like several times so that we can pick out some good lines, you know, and some, because I know it's like Rebels, like, you know, there's just gonna be a lot. I just like, my favorite is the Grand Inquisitor. Like, he wasn't in it very much, but like he was just so fun.
He was,
you know,
he was
like, you're going like back to the gutter where you belong. Like,
it's so true.
So delightful.
Awesome. Rupert Friend.
Yeah.
So awesome in that role.
Yeah, he can stay. He was just a delight from start to finish.
He was a great Grand Inquisitor. I take back any skepticism I might have had.
Yeah.
He has two stomachs. One's fine to, like, you know, you're fine to stab one apparently. I don't know.
Yeah. My overall impression of the show is solid. Would watch again. It fed my soul and did great service to people who like Star Wars and people who like the prequels.
Yeah, and it passed the Lucas test, you know, like when he's like, the end of the story, you have to feel like, like feed your soul and like have hope and like all that. Pass the Lucas test.
Oh, it did.
It gave me so much hope. It gave me so much joy.
Yeah. Right. I'm going to press you now because we're going to put some hard numbers to this. We've used waffle words like really good and liked it. But what I want now is cold, hard data. So we're going to rank this show on its various attributes. You have to give a score from 1 to 10. And I've picked attributes that I think embody Obi-Wan in the prequels. And we'll see how many of them are alive and kicking in the Obi-Wan show today. Number 1. Flirtiness, because
I think that's a 2 or a 1 in here. I would say 0, but he had some good conversations with Tala.
He turned on the charm like once or twice.
Yeah, so maybe like a 2.
A 2 is good, yeah.
It is the one aspect in which I feel we were let down. That little sparkle, the way that his hair gently wafts in the wind. It's just
a twinkle in his eye. Yeah. He had it for a couple seconds there at the end. And he was like, hello there.
Yes.
You know?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. I think like when he was trying to charm the stormtroopers into thinking Leia was his daughter and that he had the dead wife, like I think there were moments there where he was like trying to, but it was rusty. It was like pulling out his sad old charm. Right. Item number 2, hair, because he had 3 iconic and mostly hideous hairstyles.
Oh, he had great hair. 10 out of 10.
10.
I loved it.
10.
Yes.
This is his hair length is like a personal favorite of mine. Like I get all gooey for that. So
it is good. It did look, and it has the little bit of the silver fox edge to it now. So you're like, right on, Mr. Kenobi.
Right on.
Victorian covered upness.
He was
not
a little
so
more,
much
not
in this
so
one.
much in this one.
Absolute filth.
Yeah, it was definitely filthy.
Yeah.
Oh, we saw a lot. Bless it. I'm so glad.
That Bacta tank was a 180 on the prequels. Like,
Yeah.
More skin than I thought we would ever see.
I know. He was still quite bundled up throughout the show, but like the amount that we actually saw, that's like he didn't adhere to the rules at all.
No.
Scandalous.
Truly.
No. And like even his shoes, like in his pants, it was very like 90s grunge. I loved it so much.
We saw
He was
ankles
practically a
and such.
whore. He was dirty whore.
I'm gonna give it at like a 4.
Yeah.
Tragedy. Because everyone he loves dies.
10. That's still a 10.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Leia and his... So I guess maybe a 7. It wasn't all tragic for him. But the eternal sadness of being Obi-Wan
had a girl
still...
die.
Yeah.
You know? I mean...
Yeah.
I get...
But like any woman who meets him dies.
Yeah.
Like the eternal sadness of being Obi-Wan is still alive and well.
It's still alive and well, unfortunately.
Banter.
I don't know. His best banter was with Anakin. He didn't exactly. Pretty much.
He didn't get to have his sass on too much.
No.
Yeah.
He was wallowing more.
Yes. He lost his banter buddy.
Yeah, he lost his banter.
The EOP wasn't really cutting it.
Or the Jawas.
There were some moments, I suppose.
Yeah, there's some moments. So maybe like a 5.
I'm kind of sad that he didn't pull like the same level of exasperated banter on Leia, but I suppose she's still like quite little.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's yeah.
And probably smarter. Last category I've called Jedi good shit. Which is the correct interpretation of the Force as presented by one Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
I think we got some really good Jedi good shit. Like, we got to see him emerge from the darkness in which he self-imposed, exiled himself, and connected back to the Force. And he talked about what it is to be a Jedi. And we got to see cool Jedi things that he was amping up, and his abilities were coming back until he really connected back to the Force and he was throwing rocks. And I would give that a respectable 9.
Yeah, I agree. And then we also got like, there's a Jedi Underground Railroad. We found out that Quinlan was at least alive when he wrote the thing on the wall. And I mean, there's never going to be enough Jedi for me, but that was, I mean, after like years of just like Mandalorian stuff, it was good to have some Jedi stuff back,
Yeah, this is definitely the most Jedi good shit we've had in a while.
Yeah.
Plus we got to see some really good lightsaber
fights
and seeing a bit of Suresu pop out, which is cool.
Yeah, and I love the lightsabers in this series. I don't really know what people are talking about with people saying the lightsabers were done not well. I loved it. Like,
yeah, I really wonder whether some of the people who are on Twitter watched the same show as I did.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think they did. No.
But the version that I watched was pretty good. So I think a 9 out of 10 is a very respectable score.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Do we want to talk about Andor?
The next project? Yes.
It looks amazing.
It looks so good.
It looks absolutely amazing, and it's just during a time that's so fascinating in the story as a whole, like the beginning of the rebellion. We've always wondered. Rebels was great in that it like kind of painted a picture right before A New Hope, and then of course Rogue One. But this is going to be like the grassroots, and just the trailer with Mon Mothma, like in the Senate, and like her machinations and. Yeah. It's just going to be great because it's going to be politics and I'm going to love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
This show is turning into like, it feels like it's shaping up to be the WandaVision of the Star Wars shows for me.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. I really could have taken or left Cassian Andor. After watching Rogue One, I was a bit like, well, he was a dude. Didn't hate him, didn't love him. He was just kind of there. And so when they announced Andor, I was like, wow, that sounds like boring. And then the trailer dropped, and the trailer is beautiful and like
beautiful.
It looks so good, and I was like, "Oh no, it's gonna be the stealth, really good one, and I'm gonna have to care about Andor."
Yeah, that's exactly what I was like. Well, I know what happens to this dude,
Yeah.
so I don't know why.
Like, I feel for me, I've seen enough of the rebellion that I'm kind of like, do I really need to see more? Like, I was kind of questioning my investment in it. I would still watch Andor, but I wasn't sure. And plus, the main character, we know how he goes out. So I was like, I really don't know what they're going to show. And then the trailer dropped, and I, once again, happily eating my words because I so impressed. It's so beautiful. It has almost a cinematic quality to it.
Yeah.
It's so well done. I'm really excited to see it.
Yeah, I heard that a lot of the locations are actually real locations instead of that.
Really good.
CGI, whatever they do for the Mandalorian, where like everything's basically fake. I forget what they call it, but
then that's probably why it has that like quality to it. I feel like it feels very real.
Yeah, and we're like, it seems like we're going to like a bunch of different cool planets. I love that aspect of Star Wars, like the real world buildy stuff,
Yeah.
I'm fine with Tatooine, but like I love learning about like all the other planets,
Yeah. And like you said, it will be nice to inject some politics back into it because Star Wars is one of the worlds in which I do care about that side of things.
Definitely.
And I do think that the rebellion, like the people like Bail and Mon Mothma who are working within the Empire and also within the rebellion is one of the more fascinating aspects of the rebellion to me because I can kind of take or leave the dog fighting, to be honest, but I'm really stoked for a more...
political.
I'm excited for because it seems like it's really showing different people's daily lives under the Empire. And that's just like super fascinating. I was thinking the other day about growing up, the Empire is like evil, like that was like the evil side, right? The Empire. And then in history class, because I watched Star Wars before I went to history class, you learn about the British Empire, and I'm like, wait, the Empire is supposed to be evil.
Well, you weren't wrong.
Evil because
they weren't great.
I know. That's why I was like, is this there's these guys are supposed to be the good guys, right? Or at least not. I mean, in certain aspects of history, not for the Americans, but like it just made me think when I was a kid. Like Empire is not a good word. That's all I know.
Yeah, it is. I am excited to see. I mean, it feels like hopefully they're going to dive into like the impact on the average people of Imperial rule, and some of that is actually good. It's the whole like, well, say what you want about Mussolini, but the trains ran on time or whatever. But like, for many people, I'm sure that it was in some respects an improvement, but also obviously a massive net loss in terms of their rights, and clearly there's a lot of exploitation as well that's happening, and it will be interesting to get that in a show because I feel like that's kind of been touched on in Rebels, certainly been touched on kind of in The Last Jedi with the Canto Bight arc, but it would be nice to do kind of a deep dive into those people and who they are, because I feel like oh my god, I'm blanking on the planet that Ezra's from. Thingy.
They went there so many times.
I know.
Yeah.
I spent so much time there. The final battle's there. Place where Ezra's from. Like a lot of the storylines that are there are about
Lothal.
that. Lothal, thank you. Lothal. Oh my god.
Thank you, Lothal.
One of us has a brain. Yeah, and like there are lots of stories there, but they're done in a very like my problem with Rebels is sometimes it skews a little bit too childish, despite being a kid's show. So it'll be nice to see a slightly more grown up take on that kind of thing.
Yeah, grown up, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you receive a lot of things content-wise, we lose sight of just how awesome it is that we are receiving so much more in this decade than we have in a long time. It's really exciting. So I will take any and all things that Star Wars is putting out.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it.
Oh, I'll point my face at anything, but
I'm
hoping
liking
it's
the Disney Plus content.
Yeah.
Really, like I'm fine with them putting a pause on the movies.
Yeah.
To focus on really getting the movies as good as they can get and bringing this whole Disney Plus verse to life.
Yeah.
To think when that platform was announced, I was like, when am I ever going to need that?
Yeah.
Little did I know.
Yeah. And I really love Diego Luna. He's going to be good.
He's a good egg. How much he is excited about Star Wars and this role is just so magnetic to watch.
Yeah, it's adorable. He was on The View the other day. He was adorable.
Yeah, it's so cute.
And Stellan Skarsgård, I love him. He's so great. But, I mean, and the other thing is, if we start getting, like, the same old complaints about, you know, the woke agenda and how it's ruining everything, you'd be like, you're in the wrong fandom, man. It's always been... Star Wars has always been a progressive story.
A very political.
Exactly, political. From the very beginning, the Empire.
Yeah.
If you're going to complain about that, you're in the wrong fandom. Go play some more Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Like,
it will actually, now that you said it, it'd be interesting, depending on how much they engage with this kind of plot line about the impact of fascism on people. It will be very interesting to see what the internet response is.
Yeah, no, I already saw like a quote from Fiona Shaw, like saying something that how it was like Trumpian or something. I'm like, oh, Fiona, you're kicking a hornet's nest.
Yeah, but I mean, if we're talking about fascist rule and perhaps also talking about refugee displacement and various other topics, which are probably quite pertinent at the moment.
And like strip mining plants.
Yep. Yeah, I think it will be a very interesting series. Because I mean, you just want to take some people who think that this has become too political and shake them and be like, you understand the impact the Vietnam War had on these first films, right? Like, Star Wars probably might not exist if it hadn't been for the Vietnam War. At least in its final form. But like, it's always been political because everything is political and art is not divorced from reality. So sit down and drink your milk.
The end.
Drink your bantha milk.
Done. Yeah, but I'll be very interested to see what the kind of response is. And I'm also hoping that it's a show worthy of that kind of response, to be honest, because I'm hoping that it's a show that does engage on those topics. It looks like it's gonna.
Yep.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't hold back.
Yeah.
This is not the time to hold back.
It's a nice playground for telling those kinds of stories. And I think there's a lot in there that could be really fascinating, really well done. I'm excited.
I'm counting the days when I can watch
What is it,
this.
the 1st of September? Like, not the 1st, but like the first week or whatever.
Yeah,
it was going to be the end of August, but they pushed it. Like, I wouldn't say they pushed it back because it's going to be like 3 episodes are being released on the first day.
Oh, are they doing that again?
Instead of those 2 episodes being released in the end of August, it's just going to release all 3 on the same day in September.
21st of September, 2022. So quite a way into September.
It's so far away. It's not really.
Yeah.
How many? It's going to be more episodes,
yeah, it's 12
right?
episodes, so it'll run through.
I love
November.
that.
Yes.
Thank you. I feel like we're gonna be able to actually have like substantial stories told. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. This is like a proper series. Thank God.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that.
I'm very glad. Especially because like they were filming it ages ago, and then it was like they just pretended that Andor hadn't happened, and we were like, are they okay? Like, is Diego Luna locked in the basement? Like, has anyone heard from them? And then finally they were like, it's done. I'm like, okay.
And it's getting a season 2.
Bewildering.
Like, what? You won't even discuss season 1.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
It was very weird for a while there. It was very weird. It makes me wonder, like, if some of the other projects we were hearing about are just going to materialize. Because, like, ages ago, it was like, yeah, Taika Waititi is going to have a trilogy or something. And then, like, all this stuff was happening. And then, like, none of it happened. And you were like, is it, though? And
yeah, exactly. I was like, was that a dream?
Yeah. Did I make that up? Like, is there proof?
Right. I think we did.
Yeah, there are like reports of like, nope, this is just dead. It's shelved. But I'm hearing
Patty Jenkins movie.
Yes,
yeah,
Patty
but like
Jenkins. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, and Rian Johnson's trilogy,
Yes.
and Dan and Dave from the Game of Thrones trilogy. Like,
it's like a laundry list of people that like, who would personally piss me off most? The Game of Thrones writers.
I know. And that guy, I don't remember his name right now, but he did Loki and WandaVision. Loki and Multiverse of Madness.
He's supposed to write Kevin Feige's Star Wars.
With full impunity, which I am not excited about, but okay.
Yeah, I'm like, please don't use him anymore.
Yeah.
If he's, he's gonna, like, because he's a big comics person, selective comics person, so I feel like his one ode will be bringing back the rabbit alien that George Lucas absolutely hated.
Oh yeah, no, that's probably what he would end up doing, you know, to be like, you know, the clever comics guy.
Yeah.
And then also, like, during the press junket, he would talk about how he never even saw the prequels or some bullshit like that, like what he did with WandaVision.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't know how sad that statement just made me.
I'm sorry. But it's true.
Yeah, it's sad because it's true.
Yeah.
Oh god.
You're like, I never liked the Jedi. Like some shit like that, you know.
Yeah.
But no, put that out there.
Yeah, no, all of those dudes, you can keep their movies on the shelf. Yeah. It's fine. Just you know, you can just it's like they just kind of stopped talking about it, and then everybody's like, did this actually happen? And you know, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm excited about Jude Law's
Oh yeah,
Jude Law's TV Disney Plus show. That, like, it's supposed to be like him with like kids or something. Like some kind of space camp. I don't know.
They're not force sensitive, but I imagine, I hope that they will be.
It's the formula, right?
Yeah.
Like a guy that hates kids gets saddled with kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was used in Brotherhood, so the book with Anakin. So that was fun.
Oh, again? Damn.
Yeah. It wasn't bad, but I was like, I see you, formula.
Yeah, no, I was thinking that would be great for, like, if they wanted to do a Quinlan story, you know?
Yes,
like,
that was my thought.
Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
But, like,
Quinlan Vos driving the bus of Jedi refugees was
yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I would watch the shit out of that. It's so funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would watch that so fast. I'd watch anything.
That's something I want to say about Obi-Wan is all of the teasing that they did for people who are, like, you know, fans of you know, Rebels or the Clone Wars or the video game, and never really paid it off. Like we never saw Quinlan.
Mm-hmm.
We never saw help me, the game guy.
Cal Kestis. Yeah.
Thank you, Cal Kestis. You know, and a lot of people are like, oh, we're gonna see this guy. We'll probably see this dude. We didn't see any of them.
No. Here's the thing, though.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's the thing.
Sorry, you go first.
Let me say the thing, you guys.
No, I'm sorry. What's the thing? Where is it?
The thing is, because they sprinkled in these little teasers, I feel like it bodes well of things to come, you know? Mm-hmm. Because I know we're getting some Rebels related stuff with the Ahsoka show.
Yeah.
There's this idea that there's going to be a Cal Kestis show. Like, I feel like they're not just dropped in there just for fan. It seems like fan service right now, but I feel like it bodes well that we see those things.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of win-win for the writers, isn't it? Because, like, ultimately you want a good story over fan cameos, but if they drop these little nuggets, like either they just drop the nugget and everyone like is like, oh my god, Quinlan Vos, we love him, I've heard of him, and then they win with that, and then they win even more if we have Quinlan Vos show up in another show tying back to the Obi-Wan show. So it's like you can't really lose by doing this, unless
it's an open door,
until it becomes excessive.
And people can't complain about fan service because it's not fan service, it's fan teasing.
It is. It is.
Man, I would love a Cal Kestis something. I want that whole crew.
I mean, Fallen Order 2 is coming out.
Listen, I just want anything I can get my hands on.
That's fair.
Let me be greedy, Sig. Let me be greedy in the things I want.
Yes, they're all very greedy.
I am not stopping any of you. Greed away.
Give us all this stuff.
Yeah.
Glad we're on the same page.
Do we have any kind of final wrapping up thoughts about forthcoming Star Wars things, or specifically Andor?
Definitely looking forward to Andor. I really haven't been following anything beyond Andor. Like, I know that there's some Mandalorian stuff and Ahsoka stuff that's come out, but I've sort of like not been following it. I've been sort of not engaging with Star Wars fandom right now because they really
they burned us out.
There were such assholes to the Obi-Wan show that I was like, I'm done reading about it for a minute. But what have you guys been keeping up with the Mandalorian talk?
Yeah, I have a really bad quality in someone who's on a podcast in that I prefer to not know very much about these shows until they come out. So I kind of tend to avoid. I'll watch a trailer if a trailer drops, but I think that's about the extent of it. But I think
for me, I'm sorry.
No, you go.
I'm just saying, like, I think for me, and as like content creators in the Star Wars verse, I always wanted to stay away from being one of those people that like was sure that that all of these people were coming, you know, Crimson Dawn was going to be in Boba Fett, you know, Mephisto is behind it all, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that it's good to not follow everything super closely. A lot of it's just bullshit anyways.
Yeah. I find personally there is like a tipping point of like an inverse correlation between the amount of information I have going in and enjoyment, because like you want to be teased kind of, and you want to know a little bit about what's coming up so that you can be excited for it. But I find when you start getting into people's predictions or leaks from behind the scenes or any of that kind of stuff, then suddenly you have too much information to sit down and actually enjoy this without loads of preconceptions.
Yeah, I don't want to know all that stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know how people do it. I mean, I enjoy a bit of speculation when I have a little bit of information. Obviously, we've talked about stuff that we might want to see on the Andor show, but like all of that is pipe dreaming. And if none of that happens, then I'm not like committed to any of them. But people, I have done this in the past, get really committed to like, I really think this is going to happen. And then when it doesn't, I'm like, you failed to meet my personal expectations that I set up for myself. Like, and then I'm just unhappy.
Yeah, I kind of do the same thing where I don't want to look too deeply in something so I can have a preconceived idea of how something's going to be. I don't even want to speculate too deeply on things that might turn up before a show comes out. You know, I don't want to prejudge something.
Yeah.
If I can get my own perspective, that's like the best.
Yeah.
And getting too involved in like what these articles are saying, or what fandom spaces are saying, it's clouds your vision, and it also makes you not enjoy it as much as you could have been if you had not put yourself in that situation.
Right. Yeah. Like for instance, like a lot of fandom had a huge problem with Obi-Wan with that scene where he's like smuggling Leia under a trench coat, right?
Yeah.
I loved that scene, honestly, because it was like, I'm like, have these people complaining about it? Have they seen the Clone Wars? Have they seen any other Star Wars? Like, it's funny. It's like wacky or whatever, you know? Like, this isn't a real life show.
Yeah.
This is like, well, that wouldn't happen. And I'm like, no, it wouldn't, because this is a sci-fi show set in space, far, far away. Okay. It's just, it's kind of like lighthearted moments, so we need like levity. opposed to these like heartbreaking scenes, we need like something funny, like her being smuggled in a trench coat. It's like when I see stuff like that, it's sort of like I have all of these complaints about Obi-Wan. It's like I feel like you're making me like feel like I'm dumb or something for liking this, and I find it very patronizing. I don't. It's just not fun. It's fun sucking. I think you said that earlier, and it's very true. Like I'm tired of all of the fun being sucked out of these shows. I never want to be a party to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this is Star Wars, not Breaking Bad. So we can't put this like very serious expectation or like realistic expectation. Like,
and we don't want it to be Breaking Bad.
No, it's a space opera, and it's fantasy. It's science fantasy. It was always meant to be something that's hopeful and ultimately consumable for children, something that they can watch and learn something from. So, and enjoy it while they're going. And if that means Leia gets smuggled under a trench coat, like, oh, so be it. I love it. Give me more. It's the exact type of stupid ridiculousness that I love Obi-Wan gets himself into.
Yep. Exactly.
Like, he was doing this with Anakin. Are you kidding me? Like
100%. I mean, the thing that makes me like the prequels is the fact that they're absolute morons. That's the best bit. Like they're just like we're smarter than this. It's like, no, you aren't. You're completely inept, and I love you for it. Like they're so stupid. It's great.
Yeah, it's like Anakin going, I say patience, and Obi-Wan be like, patience for what? We're stuck. Like, this is the type of banter and silliness that you need in a story that's, very complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All in all, to say is, I'm excited for Andor. I'm excited for whatever projects that come out. I love Star Wars, loved Kenobi. Everyone else can suck it.
Amen.
And we're done.
Good closing notes, I think.
Yeah. No, I can't really top that as a summary of where we stand.
I love it here, guys. Yeah. I love doing this.
Yeah, if you want a podcast that has only wild and completely uninformed speculation beyond having maybe watched a trailer for any upcoming series, where we are just going to be happy about things and like them, you're in the right place. Obi-Wan show was great.
Yeah, and we're not afraid to like talk about like criticism of it. We've definitely have criticized these shows, but we're not going to sit here and trash them and then call ourselves Star Wars fans. It's just not.
We like the things we're doing podcasts for, We like
exactly. We do. We like the things we do podcasts for.
Yeah, I would not be here talking this much about something that I did not enjoy.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I think that's probably everything on this topic today. So thank you very much for tuning into the Kyber Collective. If you like what you heard, please give us a like. And if you've got something to say, drop us a comment. Both of these help make us easier to find for other fans and are the best way you can support our work. If you'd like to keep up to date with our episodes, you can subscribe, and you can always talk to us on Twitter at Kyber Collective. We'll be back with another episode in 2 weeks. And until then, remember, the crystal is the heart of the blade. The heart is the crystal of the Jedi. The Jedi is the crystal of the Force. The Force is the blade of the heart. All are intertwined. The crystal, the blade, the Jedi. You are one.